Man, I know y'all mad as hell. Y'all been Christians y'all whole life, and not one time did y'all ever sit back and think that y'all was worshiping a black man. Y'all been worshiping the greatest man to ever exist, and come to find out, he is black. And the only way you find this hard to believe is because you really racist. And you more concerned with believing a lie than the actual truth. All the prominent figures that you grew up learning about that did all these great things that you seen in church, from Moses to King David to Solomon, all of them, all the disciples, all of them are black. And that's why John 8:32 said, "You shall know the truth and it shall make you free." A lot of y'all enslaved into a lie and y'all comfortable with it. Shalom.
The truth has been reclaimed. Jesus is black. We've grown up knowing that Jesus was a white man with long blonde hair, blue eyes, and European features, because this is the image that was portrayed to us by the white people. And even this image has always been in churches, children's Bibles, movies, and a lot more. And this has led us to believing that Jesus was actually white. But the truth is out now, and white folks are actually in utter shock. And in today's video, that is what we're going to explore. Let's see this truth and how it has left the white folks in shock. So kindly join me and watch till the end. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share.
Breaking news. Russia's President Vladimir Putin has opened the doors to the public to a very ancient church. And to the surprise of many people, the prophets on this wall are dark-skinned. Not white like me, not white like that Jesus Christ that you have in your abuelita's hallway, but dark, black people. Let me show you. Here's one photo, and I have this exact same one, but she's white with blue eyes in my mom's hallway. Here's another one, and again, black people. And we're going on. That's Jesus, and he's not white with blonde hair and blue eyes. You see that? All that? Black people. Nowhere in sight do I see blonde, white skin, blue eyes, anywhere. How beautiful is this church, by the way? It is gorgeous. Look at this. And I bet the amount of Europeans that have just realized, look at this. These are the prophets. All black men. When I was a kid, we would hear rumors about this black Jesus and that was the actual skin color. But then it would get shut down by the elders on like, no, that's not possible. He was white with blue eyes. And this just shows you that this is one of the many reasons why the United States wants to shut down TikTok, because they want us to believe that only light-skinned people rule the world. Let me know if you're just as shocked. Let me know what you think. And how many of you already knew this?
So yesterday, Vladimir Putin opened up the vaults in Russia, and it showed real images of Jesus Christ being depicted as a black man. So if the first images of Jesus Christ was him being depicted as a black man, why do we only know him to be white, like this image? Christianity is one of the biggest religions on planet Earth, and everybody knows this man right here to be Jesus Christ. But my question is, why was his image changed, and who changed it? And I'm going to tell you that information right now. Here's a book called How Did Jesus Christ Become White? And in this book, it describes that the Pope's son, Cesare Borgia, and Leonardo da Vinci were in a homosexual relationship. And they schemed to whitewash the images of Jesus Christ so that you don't know that he was actually a black man. And they try their best to keep this hidden. That's why the real Russian icons is $30,000 and $70,000. But know your history. Shalom.
Listen up, y'all. Donald Trump is going down. And you know what's going down with him? White European Jesus. Because this image, which has always been false, we know it's false, has been a signal for too long that Jesus, the Christ, belongs to white people. But you know what? Jesus was a brown-skinned Palestinian Jew. We know roughly what his skin looked like. And let me assure you, it wasn't pasty white. Yet we have continued to represent him this way. And it's a slap in the face to our black and brown brothers and sisters all over the globe. And it's time for this image to come down and for this entire white supremacist system to come down right along with it.
Who is this?
The devil. What? That's the devil. That's a man called Caesar Borgia. Who? The son of Pope Alexander the Sixth of Rome. All right, this is an image that was painted by Leonardo da Vinci. It was also painted by Michelangelo. So this is, according to Revelation 13, the image of the beast. Jesus Christ was never white. Jesus Christ is a black man, according to the Bible, and you are the Israelites, black people. All right, that's who we are, the real Jews.
Okay, how do you know he's black?
It's in the Bible. Revelation chapter 1 and verse 14 and 15. Daniel chapter 10 verse 5 and 6. Daniel chapter 7 verse 9. Revelation chapter 2 verse 18. The Bible describes Jesus Christ as a black man.
He's right, you know.
Just a little reminder, because I fear that we have lost our way. Jesus was brown. Jesus was an immigrant. Jesus was a refugee. He was born in a place that was not his homeland. And Jesus cared for the hungry. He fed them. He met the prostitutes at the well, the woman in the well. He helped those that were disabled. He healed those that were sick. He threw over the tables of the Pharisees and the Sadducees that were selling things in the temple. Jesus was a radicalist. Jesus was not some white man that is shown throughout the world. Jesus was brown. Jesus cared for those. And as he said, because again, I fear that we have forgotten, he said, "What you do unto the least of these, you do unto me." Just a reminder.
What color was Jesus? I was asked this today outside of the metro stop. I was administering ashes for Ash Wednesday. And this young black guy walks straight up to me and he says, "What color was Jesus?" And I am so glad that I know the right answer, because in my younger years, I would have said something completely different and completely wrong. And I told him, Jesus was black, and his face lit up. And he said, "I never imagined in my wildest dreams that a white priest would admit that Jesus was black." And here's the thing, Jesus was obviously dark-skinned. That's unquestionable. But he was also ontologically black. He was born into an oppressive empire, and his life was threatened from day one. He knew what it was like to be hunted and to have the illusion of freedom. As James Cone said, the cross of Christ was the lynching tree in America. Jesus was lynched by Rome, just like so many black people in America. I'm not sure why Jesus being black is so threatening to some white Christians, but it is. You'll find out in the comments. So if it's threatening to you, maybe this Lent is an opportunity to go inward and find out why your Jesus needs to be white. Because Jesus was absolutely black. And that truth matters, because if we're going to have a relationship with him, we need to recognize him first. I love you, all of you, and I'll see you out there.
How do I say this? The entire Bible is about black people. Not only was Jesus black, but every character in the Bible seems to be black too. Yeah, Zephaniah and Jeremiah and Jebediah, those all aren't white people names, okay? And Jesus wasn't some tan, partially melanated Middle Eastern person either. I'm talking straight up black dude, okay? Even in the book of Revelation, when you get the vision of Daniel, he's describing someone with feet like burnt brass and white woolly hair, and we've got the deep running water voice with the red eyes, and you guys, he's black. The Jewish people are black people, like Kanye was right. And those people yelling at the park dressed in purple about black people being the real Hebrew Israelites, they're right, okay? Like, anytime you see the word Hebrew or Israelite or Jew in the Bible, in your mind you got to replace that with black person. So the whole Bible is going to make a lot more sense to you once you start reading it like that. But you need to let this get settled in your heart now before you get up there. So I mean, they were literally whipping him on his way to get crucified, you guys. Crucifixion was a punishment like for slaves back then, and gladiators, and all the gladiators were black too. Did you know that? Like, You guys, he was sold for 30 pieces of silver. That was the maximum amount of money that a slave could be sold for. Oh, just coincidence? Above his cross, it says INRI. They were like mocking him. They were saying it says this is the king of the Jews. They're saying, like, here's the king of the black people. Look what we did to him. Why does the KKK burn crosses, you guys? The racist KKK. It's just, black people rejoice. You are God's chosen people. Like, I mean, those are some big shoes to fill, but be honored, like, feel good about that. Like, how cool. Anyway, see you later. Jesus was black.
I believe Jesus Christ was black, and the mainstream is trying to hide that information. And here are the verses that lead me to believe that he was black. This is Revelation chapter 1, verses 13 through. This is John speaking. John was an apostle of Jesus Christ, and he's having a vision on an island, okay? And he's saying, and in the middle of the lampstands, I saw one like a son of man, clothed in a robe reaching to the feet and girt across his chest with a golden sash. His head and his hair were white, like white wool, like snow, and his eyes were like a flame of fire, and his feet were like burnished bronze. The reason why I think Jesus is black is because of this part, burnished bronze. This is a brown color. Let me show you. This is burnished bronze, as you can see on Google. You can Google this yourself. This is a black person. Now, some people will be like, oh, well, John's just having a vision. It doesn't mean it's actually what it was. But you know that God is giving John the vision, right? God is allowing John to see all this stuff, the future, to see Christ. And God showed him Christ as a burnished bronze colored man. Okay, so that's what he looks like. Now, if you're already triggered by this video and you find yourself saying, nah, Jesus was not black, and don't you say that he was. If that's how you feel, then possibly there's a deeper and darker, pun intended, issue within you that you need to check. John continues, this is chapter 4 of Revelation. Immediately I was in the spirit, and behold, a throne was standing in heaven, and one sitting on the throne. And he who was sitting was like a jasper stone and a sardius in appearance. Sardius is a reddish brown. This is a dedicated red, brown, dark tan color. Is there any historical backing for Jesus being black outside of the Bible? Well, there's certainly a lot of artwork that depicts Jesus as black. This is a painting from 1797 in Russia of a black Jesus. And some people might be like, oh, well, maybe they just didn't have the skin color for white. Well, look at the halo. The halo is certainly light colored. They could have painted Jesus white if they wanted to, but they didn't. They didn't. Why would they do that? Because Jesus is probably actually black. This is a 1497 painting in Russia. Look at these apostles. These are the disciples. Black men with afros. Afro, 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 all over. Jesus, the Messiah, as a black man with an afro. These are white Russians painting a black Jesus and black disciples. So you got to ask yourself, why are they doing this? Are they doing this because they just love black people so much? Or are they just trying to be accurate? I could do this all day, really. There's all kinds of old school artwork of black Jesus, black disciples, Black Mary, black angels, black saints, all kinds of stuff. And some of you guys may be saying, oh, well, what does it matter? It just doesn't matter. It's not a salvation issue. It doesn't matter what his color is. It does matter. It mattered enough for the mainstream and the matrix to change his skin color, so it matters to know the truth. If Jesus turns out his skin color was turquoise, I want to know that. Why? Because I want to know the truth. If it turned out that he was translucent, I want to know that he was translucent. If it turned out that he was factually and historically white, I want to know that and I would accept. But it seems like we're being lied to about Jesus being black. And I got all kinds of stuff to say about, being black and what it really means.
Think about it. The historical figure known to Christians was born in Jerusalem, in the Middle East, to a virgin named Mary and a father named Joseph. Very white and English sounding names, aren't they? The reality, their names were most likely Miriam and Joseph. And Jesus, his real name was probably Yeshua, or in the language he spoke, Yeshua bar Yosef, meaning Yeshua, the son of Joseph. The English names we know today passed through Hebrew, Greek, Latin, and centuries of European translation. That's how a Galilean family ended up with British-sounding names. But also, let's be real. Whitening the story made it more comfortable for a white English-speaking audience. And while we're on that subject, I don't know very many people of Middle Eastern descent who'd be considered white passing. So here's a wake-up call for all you so-called Christians who are definitely racist. Yeshua, not Jesus, wouldn't have been white. He'd have been what we'd call today a person of color. So let me get this straight. You worship a brown Middle Eastern man born to a teenage girl and still manage to be racist? Cool. But to make that make sense in your head, you had to make him white? Neat. Is the sky also blue in your world like it is in mine, or? Wild, isn't it, folks? The Son of God was brown, poor, and Middle Eastern, but somehow every church painting turned him into a sun-kissed European with perfect hair and soft hands. So let's make a deal, shall we? If you're going to build your hate on a lie, at least pick a lie that doesn't crumble under basic geography. Because you can't claim to follow a brown Jewish refugee from the Middle East, a man persecuted by empire, and still side with the empire every time. The message of Yeshua wasn't about whiteness, power, or purity. It was about compassion, justice, and tearing down the systems that crush the poor. So if the only version of Yeshua you'd worship looks like you, votes like you, and hates who you hate, that's not Yeshua. That's just a mirror. Anyway, kind of funny, isn't it? 2,000 years later, people still use his name to justify who's allowed into what country, wars and racial hate. Almost like the empire Yeshua died defying is still alive, just wearing the cross they pinned him on around their neck. Peace out, and if you're not already following me, you should. It's going to be a ride.
I come on here to say this because I believe this is a warning to my people. It just came to me, and some other thoughts came back to my remembrance about different things. My people, be careful. Now that they let the world know that the Messiah is black, that the fake Jesus, I don't like to call him Jesus, I say Yahusha. Now that they let the world know now, and the world was looking for a white Jesus to come back, now they might, well, I don't believe might, I believe they're going to send in a fake Jesus, the fake Messiah, the Antichrist, and he is going to look like us. He is going to look like us. And a lot of our people are going to fall for it. Don't fall for it, y'all. Don't fall for it. Get closer and closer to the Most High so you can have more discernment. Don't believe everything you hear. Don't believe everything you see. They let this information come out on purpose, although we are in the times for truth to come out, but they have their plans too. Be careful, because they will send out somebody that look like us to try to round all of us up. They really trying to get to us, y'all. They really trying to get to us. Everything that they do is not for good, of course. We should all know this. They might say something good, but know it's something bad following it. Be careful. I believe this is a warning to my people and others who love us and love the Messiah. Be careful to not fall for their tricks.
To begin with, Jesus was born in the Middle East, in Judea, Bethlehem, and he was born a Jew. And we all know that Jewish people mostly have a skin tone that is olive to brown, and therefore Jesus most likely resembles the people of the Jewish people, and he has such a skin tone and not white. And also, there's nowhere in the Bible that states that Jesus was actually born in Europe, because we've stated clearly that he was born in Middle East, because Judea and Bethlehem are in the Middle East. Therefore, he most likely resembles people of the Middle East who have an olive to brown skin tone. Also, Luke chapter 2 verse 4 to 7 actually confirms that Jesus' parents were actually Jewish and they lived in Nazareth before they moved to Bethlehem. And now the most controversial verse is usually Revelation chapter 1 verse 14 to 15, and I'll read it. And it says that his head and hair were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were like blazing fire. His feet were like bronze glowing in a furnace. And when we have this vivid description of his hair being like wool, we're imagining his hair being like tightly coiled and afro-textured, and afro-textured hair is from a black descent. Also, when the Bible says that his feet were like bronze, we all know that bronze is actually a brown metal, and when it is burnt, it turns into a dark or a black shade, and therefore that is clear that Jesus' feet were dark. That is the description that the Bible is trying to give. Also, in Matthew chapter 26 verse 47 to 49, this is the Bible verse that talks about Judas betraying Jesus. And when he reached where Jesus was, he had to kiss him. And the question is, if Jesus looked dramatically different from the people around him or from everyone who was there at that time, why did Judas have to kiss Jesus? Because he actually blended with the people of that place. That's why he had to identify him by kissing him. But if he looked like a very white person, there was no need for introduction. He would be the different one there in terms of skin color, and he would not need even an introduction. Also, in Matthew chapter 2 verse 13 to 15, the verse that talks about when King Herod wanted to kill Jesus and his parents had to flee to Egypt. The reason they fled to Egypt, it's because they knew that the people there look like them. Because tell me, if Jesus was actually white and then they flee to Egypt and all the people in Egypt are not really white, then Jesus would have easily been identified and killed. But they fled to Egypt because Jesus will blend in with the people there, the same as to his parents. So for the longest time, the whites have always promoted this image of Jesus as being white, and it was as a tool of slavery and colonialism, because if Jesus is white, then whiteness is holy and it's pure, and therefore you have to obey your masters and listen to them because they look like Jesus. They are closer to God than you are because they resemble him even in their skin tone. And the Europeans felt that if Jesus was actually depicted as a dark person, then the black people will not conform to their authorities. They will not have the supremacy that they have over the black people. The black people will not cooperate and obey them because they see them as, because the black people will believe that Jesus is actually the same skin tone as them, therefore they are all superior. But the white people use this as a tool to be superior to the black people and to colonize them and exact supremacy over these black people. Therefore, it is time that we unlearn these lies of history that has always been taught to us, and eventually after we unlearn this, we are going to see the true image of liberation that Jesus actually died for. So we come to the end of the video, and I'd like to know your thoughts in the comment section. Kindly remember to subscribe, comment, like and share. Until the next video, bye bye.